Moving to Florida is getting out of control. Everybody wants to live here. There's more people moving here than ever before in record numbers, as well as the housing prices are increasing at a pace that we've never seen before. I've been in the real estate business here for 12 years, and I've never seen the prices of real estate increase so sharply from year to year. When you compare the real estate prices from 2020 to where they are now in 2021, it's just ridiculous across the board. So today I want to talk a little bit about what's going on here with the Florida real estate market. It's really important for anybody that's thinking of moving here to really understand what's going on in order to make the right decision if right now is the time to move to Florida or not. Now guys, when I first started making videos about Florida, I never thought I was going to be making a video like this. Up until last year, before that, everything was pretty normal. People moved to Florida every year, of course, but people moved out of Florida every year, and the housing market was relatively stable. It kind of went up a little bit every year, pretty steadily, but nothing like what we've been seeing over the past 12 months. That's why right now is such a weird time to move to Florida, and that's why I think it's getting out of control. It's like getting a PlayStation 5. For anybody who doesn't know the video game reference, go ahead and try to buy a PlayStation 5 right now from Walmart, Best Buy, GameStop, anywhere. You can't really get one. If you try hard enough and long enough, you can get one like I did, but it's a lot of work to buy that PlayStation 5. And guess what? If you don't want to wait and you don't want to put in the effort, you have to pay a scalper on eBay close to double the price of what one would cost you at retail. So you can use that analogy to pretty much put in the perspective of what's happening with the real estate market here in Florida. The housing market and inventory is drying up in a lot of places, not everywhere, but in particular, one place it is drying up more than everywhere else, which a lot of people probably don't realize, is Southwest Florida. I've seen so many people say in the comments before how Southwest Florida is more laid back and it's more affordable than the East Coast. Guess what, guys? That's changing. It's changing right now as I'm making this video and right now as you're watching it. The real estate market in Southwest Florida is at record low inventory levels than they've ever seen. Right now in Southwest Florida, they only have about 31,000 single-family homes for sale, and for that market, that equals only about 1.2 months worth of supply, meaning that in 1.2 months, all 31,000 of those homes will be sold, and literally, if no other homes come on the market, there will be zero left. Now, obviously, that's not how real estate works. There's always new people listing their houses, but that's part of the reason we're into this problem, and I'll get to that a little bit later in the video. And it's the same thing over there when it comes to condos and townhouses. They only have about 30,000 of those for sale as well, and the inventory supply of that number in Southwest Florida is about 2.5 months worth of inventory. So it's still not that much. Anybody who's not aware of the real estate terms, basically it's like this. In order to have a healthy buyers and sellers market, you usually want to have about 6 months worth of inventory on the market. That means if 6 months went by and everything sold, that means there'd be zero homes left on the market. But obviously, it's a supply and demand thing. There's always homes selling, there's always homes coming on the market, and the ideal balance is 6 months worth of inventory. And historically, Miami, for example, we have had probably about a 1.5 year supply of inventory, which is way over that. And that's what most people would consider a buyer's market, because there's more homes for sale than there are buyers. Therefore, it's a buyer's market because buyers have more choices. But now, that's not the case here anymore either. And I'm just so surprised to see this because I feel like it almost happened overnight. It's kind of like something that just started building up over the last few months and is coming to an apex now. Even at the beginning of this year, yeah, the demand for Florida real estate was up, but nothing like it is right at the moment. And typically in Florida, what I've seen in the past, usually the summer buying season is when it's the busiest down here. because that's also when the locals move, because if you want to put your kid in a different school, then that's usually when people move down here that already live in Florida, because they need to get their kids situated for school next year in the new area they're going to be moving to. But combine that with the fact of all the people that are moving here from out of state, it's probably going to be a bloodbath. So the biggest problem here is affordability and availability. Because with the rising prices happening so fast, people are getting priced out of the market essentially overnight, especially people that are living on a budget. And when you buy real estate, guys, to get a conventional loan, it's all income based. So the lender's looking at how much money you make and your debt to income ratio, meaning how much money you make versus how much money you owe at any given month. And they use those figures to determine how much house you can afford to buy. And unfortunately, a lot of people are usually stuck around the $300,000 mark or less. That's typical for most families. And the number of houses available on the market right now in Florida that are under $300,000 are dwindling at record pace. And I'm not trying to scare you or be a doomsdayer or anything like that. I just want to give you guys a bird's eye view of what's really happening here, because even somebody like me that's been working in real estate here for a long time, I'm shocked by this. This is kind of coming as a surprise. I mean, it's not a surprise from the point of view that Florida's a very desirable place to live. Obviously, I knew that 13 years ago, and many other people did way before that. But only now is it kind of catching on because of the perfect storm. You have all these states where people make a lot of money, but the taxes are extremely high. They're coming here. We had the pandemic, and the work from home thing started taking off, and now it's becoming like the new norm. Now people can work from anywhere. They're choosing Florida, coming to a state where the weather's nice all year. They're coming here because, there's no state income taxes. They're coming here because housing used to be affordable, but I think that reason for coming here is going to be changing real soon in the next year or two. I made this video a few months back right here called "Will Housing Be Affordable in 1 year from now in Florida?" And I think those predictions that we saw in that video will probably be accurate, if not even over the amount of percentages increases we're going to see in all these different real estate markets. So if you want to check that video out, I'll have a link for it below. That way you can see what my predictions were back then, and I'll do a follow-up on that, of course, when that video is a year old, to see what actually happened. Before we go any further in this video, I have a really exciting announcement for you guys. In the past, a lot of you have reached out to me via text message, email, Instagram DMs, in the comment section, anything you can think of to try to get some help with buying a property down here in Florida. And unfortunately, I've had to turn so many people down in the past, but today I'm excited to announce that I've put together a team that's going to be able to help you with all of your Florida real estate needs. So from now on, you can check the description down below in my videos, and you can either call or email the information below, and we'll get back to you right away and help you with your Florida real estate needs. On to the video. So what's causing this frenzy, you might ask? Well, I think it's a combination of a few different things. So here it is. First of all, we have increased buyer demand, and also people have more money than they did a year ago, mainly because the government is printing money and sending it out to people for free. That's part of the stimulus packages that have been passed since the pandemic started, and so people just have more money in their pockets now than they did a year ago, and they also have the freedom to choose where to live more than they did a year ago. So that's one thing. The next thing, the increase in out-of-state buyers, and those out-of-state buyers are coming from wealthier areas than here, and they're coming with cash. If you had a house, even some little shack in California, you probably sold that for $1 million. Here, you can buy a really nice house for $500,000 somewhere and still pocket the other $500,000 and pay cash for your house. So it's all relative on where people come from, and unfortunately that really hurts the locals, people that have been living here for a long time that can only afford that $300,000 or $400,000 house or even less, because that stuff is getting eaten up by out-of-state buyers and the people that already live here. FOMO, or fear of missing out. That's another thing that's really driving this frenzy. A lot of people, I can tell, are in this mindset now of, I better buy it now while I can still afford it. That's kind of a dangerous mentality to have for a couple different reasons. One, the housing prices now are basically at record highs, just very similarly to where they were at back in 2008 before the markets crashed. So if you buy right now with that FOMO mentality, you could be underwater on your house in a couple years if things turn around. So that's one thing that people aren't thinking about. Now, I understand the FOMO mentality, especially if you have the money right now and you can still afford a house right now. And if prices continue to trend in this direction, which nobody really knows how long this craziness can last for, but the idea is I better buy a house now while I can still afford it, because maybe in a year or two from now I might not be able to. And that's a reasonable thought to have, but you're also playing with a double-edged sword, guys, because on the one hand, prices could be much higher in a year from now and you'll be happy you bought, or on the flip side, things can change and prices can go dramatically down, and that house can be worth 50 to 80 or maybe even 100,000 less than what you paid for it just 6 or 8 months ago. So there's no guarantees when it comes to real estate, and everybody just needs to be very cautious right now. I'm not telling anyone to buy or not to buy, but just think about these things before you do it. And the last thing that I think is contributing to all of this is there's just less sellers putting their homes on the market. And I don't blame them, because on the one hand, they have a double-edged sword too, guys. Think about it like this. If they sell their home, they can probably get more money for that house than they ever would have been able to in history, okay? So that's a plus for being a seller. But on the flip side, where are they going to go? If you still want to live in Florida and live that Florida lifestyle and have a nice place to live, now you're on the flip side of all of this, competing with all these buyers, especially the out-of-state ones, and you're going to need every penny that you just got from your house to buy the next one, and probably have to go through a few bidding wars before you even get one, if you're lucky. And don't think renting is going to be the safe haven. That's the next thing. Even rentals aren't safe, guys, and let me tell you what I mean here. In the neighborhood that I live here in North Beach, in Miami Beach, Florida, for the longest time, there was plenty of listings for rent here, and I'm going to give you a specific example. I was looking the other day to see how many 2-bedroom, 2-bathrooms there were for rent that were $3,000 a month or less, which is a pretty average price point for a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom here. Most of them are less than that, and in the past, I would usually come up with anywhere between 120, maybe 150 listings in the North Beach neighborhood. Well, guess what the number is now? 24. That's it. 24 listings available. So that is a gigantic decrease, okay, from normal. And I'm talking those numbers would be normal for years and years in the past, not just in 2020, but all the years previous. Even when the market was crazy before, there was still no shortage of rentals. Now, it's even hard to get a rental. Yeah, guys, it's getting out of control. I'm not trying to discourage anyone from coming here, but as a longtime Florida resident, it is a little bit frustrating seeing our state go through this transition right now. And I know it's not going to be permanent. Eventually, things will turn around and will be different. But until that day comes, we're going to have to keep dealing with this volatility. It's like living in a state where everything's controlled by Bitcoin, essentially, because Bitcoin goes up and it goes down. And I feel like the same thing could happen with Florida real estate tomorrow. No one really knows. There's a lot of factors that can influence the price of real estate, and I'm going to make another video on that topic in particular and talk about what I think could be contributing to the market going down in the near future. But stay tuned for that video, and in the meantime, check out that video I did about real estate prices in a year from now right over here, and I'll see you guys over there.